What's up, guys? Long time no see. Johnny here. I say welcome back, but it's been a long time. So anyway, I'm out here at our permanent flying facility out here in Detroit. One of those things I'm really proud of actually as a club, that we've been able to get ourselves a permanent flying field. Just come out here, fly. If you only have a couple hours, that's totally fine. That's what I'm doing here today. But the point of this video is I'm gonna finally bring you guys something that a lot of people have asked me for a long time, and that's a stick cam while flying. So I brought the GoPro rig, brought the chest harness. I'm gonna set it up, fly today, show you my stick cam, see how we do. Hopefully that helps you learn about flying, what I'm doing differently. After we're done with that, we're gonna go home, analyze the footage, see what I learn, and then you guys can let me know if you agree with me, disagree, if it was helpful. If it wasn't, just be sure to let me know. Anyway, I got the batteries over here on charge out here at the field. Probably the best purchase I've made in FPV so far has been that generator. Just helps me get so many practice packs in those few times I get to come out here and fly. So highly recommend one of those if you can swing it. Anyway, I've now started warming up. We got about 2 hours of sunlight to go today, so I'm gonna do a few batteries first, then throw on that GoPro, and yeah, show you the stick cam of how we fly on this track. Some of you might have seen this track before. It's one I've flown a couple of times before. I feel pretty confident on it. Hopefully that helps give me some better stick cam for you guys to look at. But yeah, let's go check it out, see how it goes.
But sometimes I might be a bit selfish when you wait too long.
For 1136.5.
Getting you in trouble. 'Cause I'm a little bit unsteady, even a little bit mad. Might be a disaster, or just the best
For
you've ever
159.
had. Or just the best you've ever had. 'Cause I'm a little bit
Or 156.
even a little bit mad. Might be a disaster. When I'm with you, I feel different, like I'm brand new.
39.
This ignoring silly feels just like I'm waiting for something better. Wait a second, I wanna stay up late
14.5.
with my heart in your hand.
All right, guys, so we're back at home. We're at the desk. We're gonna take a look at some of the footage that I just showed you with that stick overlay. What I want to do is basically go through it myself, looking to see what I see with this. What am I picking up on? What am I keying into? What am I doing that maybe I didn't expect? Share that with you guys, get your thoughts. I also did another stick overlay with a different quad. So the one that I started with first, I consider my primary quad, my fast quad. I'll go through that setup in another video. But basically, it's a Floss 3.0 flying with the Talon Gigawatt ESC with a Talon F7 Fusion flight controller, Talon 2207 plus 1860 kV motors, and a Run Cam Racer Nano in that one, I believe. So that's my main racing setup. The one I went to later, very, very similar, but it's a Floss 3, not a Floss 3L, and it's also running slightly different motors. It's running the RCN Power 2207 plus 1860 kV. So they're the motors that the Talons are based on, but they have a different bell design. They don't quite have the same power as the Talons, even though they're very, very similar motors. So I'll take you through that once we go through this first analysis. Anyway, let's go watch this video. Let's see what we key into, and I'm going to show you kind of how I watch it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through it at normal pace. Usually when I watch DVR, I do a lot of frame-by-frame analysis to try to learn, what I was doing well and what I wasn't doing well, learning from my fast lap times, learning what I did wrong on my slow lap times. So first, you just watch this video. But anyway, I'm watching it here again, just trying to get my hands around what's going on. This is a pretty good run. Probably not the fastest run I've ever done on this course, but still it's pretty close. Like I said, I've ran this course a few other times, so I'm already very comfortable when I go to it. Therefore, it doesn't take me very many batteries to be able to fly at this sort of pace on this course. Now, when I first watched this video with a stick overlay, I was kind of like, this is kind of weird. So obviously I'm using a lot of throttle. You can see me bouncing off the top of the sticks quite a bit on the throttle. But it almost looks chaotic. I mean, there's a lot of bouncing on the throttle, lots of full throttle around the course. I see my right stick going to the right, the full left, but I can't really make too much sense of what's going on. I think that's just because the pace around the track is so fast. Trying to watch it back at real time just is really, really difficult. At least it is for me. So that really gets into why I like to slow things down and analyze things much more closely. One thing I should mention as we just finished watching this, just man, batteries do not last very long. That's all I gotta say. I miss the days when batteries lasted for 2 minutes, but then again, I was flying a lot slower then. But anyway, what I do want to mention is the rates that I'm currently flying. So we're looking at the stick overlay cam. We can see what I'm doing with the sticks, but that doesn't necessarily tell you how that translates into what the quad's doing. So you can see I'm using full deflection on my rolls quite a bit. My rates are 533 degrees per second on my pitch and my roll. If you go into the beta flight configurator, that's a 0.8 and 0.7. So I think it's 0.8 super rate, sorry, 0.8 rate and 0.7 super rate and 0 expo. That's what I run. So anyway, let's go back and take a look at how I would typically analyze something like this. Now, the first thing that I will tell you is that for most pilots, when I go under the goggles and I watch how they're flying and they're looking for tips, the number one thing that comes up more than anything else I give them is turn sooner. So oftentimes when people are flying, they're trying to line up for a gate, they'll turn as they're coming into the gate, and it feels like they're turning really, really early. But I'll tell them, I know that feels early. Force yourself to turn earlier. It's kind of crazy just in order to get the nice tight lines around a course, how early you actually have to turn to pull those tight lines. And I've seen people start like just forcing themselves to turn earlier and seeing their lap time start to drop on the course. So that's the tip I'm going to give you, and I'm going to kind of show here just where I'm turning around these things. So anyway, let's take a look at it. So let's get going here on this one. Now, what I like to do is I actually go frame by frame as I'm analyzing this. So one thing that's nice is I also have on the left side, the bottom left, you can see what the throttle percentage is, and it also lines up with the throttle that you see on the transmitter. There is a slight difference in the timing there. I think there's a slight delay in what you see in the OSD, but this is from that same run. So one thing that I guess I'm not doing it here. So I've noticed I do this. My first lap tends to be my slower laps for some reason. I don't push as hard. I don't know why. I really got to solve that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to jump forward through the first lap and actually analyze frame by frame on the second lap. Just because I'm probably in my groove by that point. So we'll just follow this through. This is a really fun track, by the way. All right. So now we're finishing up our first lap, going on to our second lap. So one thing I definitely like to do as I go through gates is typically I like to punch the throttle as I'm going through the gate, get up to that 100%, just get that little bit of extra speed. It doesn't last for long. Usually straightaways aren't too long anyway. But you can see right here, as I'm going through that gate, you can see 85% on the OSD. You can see my stick is near the top. You see it hits actually 100% throttle there as I go through the gate. I will do that quite a bit. Now, the other thing you're going to see here, so you can see me start to turn left. So you see my right finger, my roll starting to go left. I'm currently turning left for that gate you see off in the distance. So this is getting back to what I mentioned, turn early. As soon as you think you need to turn even sooner. Like, I think of myself as turning early for gates, but as I'm flying, I don't think I'm turning that early. Like, this is insane. But you can see I'm pretty much full stick left, and yet the gate looks like it's really far away. But as you watch that quad, it is turning, turning, turning. I'm starting to lower the throttle so I can get control back as I come around. But that entire time that we just watched, until I'm behind the gate, I was turning left. That's how early I had to turn to make it through this gate the way I wanted to. And again, you can see here, before I go through the gate, I'm sure I'll be turning right. So yeah, you can see me turning right before I go through this gate. I'm keeping my eyes on the next location, which is the dive gate on this course. I can see it as I'm going through that gate. And again, the whole way, I'm pretty much full deflecting all the way to the right. Turn to the right, turn to the right. And look, even though I'm coming into a dive gate, I'm keeping my throttle at like 70%. I mean, that's something I didn't really realize I was doing at the time I'm flying, but watching this back, I can see I was really able to stay on that throttle to try to keep this section going fast through that dive gate. Now again, all this whole time I've been turning right. That's kind of fascinating to me. I notice there's a lot more activity on my throttle stick than there is on the roll. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's what's going to keep smoother flying, so I'm happy to see that. It makes a lot of sense. And again, just this idea of turning early. So I see that flag off in the distance. I'm going to be making a left turn around that flag. If I watch, there I go, starting my left turn. So I'm now turning left on my quad, and you can see I'm not even past, the obstacle that comes up after I go around the flag. It's just, again, turn sooner. I don't know how many times I can say it. That's, like I said, the number one thing I try to tell people. But look at this. Like, I'm turning left, it looks like I'm going to miss the flag almost. But yet, I had so much momentum coming out of that turn, I slide right around that flag, and it keeps a nice tight turn. Although that's not quite as tight as I'd like to see coming into this section here with that corkscrew. Again, you're going to see the same thing. I'd expect to start turning right about here on the course. Again, a lot of time before I get to those gates, but again, just I keep harping on it, but turn early, turn sooner. You can see me turning, well before that gate. That's how I try to keep it tight as I go through the corkscrew. That's really where you're going to save times around the track. So that's the number one lesson I'd say here. You can see that was not a perfect corkscrew, but I still kept it pretty tight. You can see I'm hitting 100% throttle as I do this to try to keep it close to the obstacle and keep that speed up. And again, just you'll see it on this particular course over and over again, but you will see my throttle stick go to 100% over and over and over. Usually when I'm over and over the hurdle, you can see it there. I'm up at the max. 96 is what it said, but that's pretty much maxed out. Coming down to gain control as I go through this obstacle here. But again, I go through this, I punch it, I do that little throttle punch, get a little bit more speed as I go through the gate. It's a perfectly safe time to do it. I tend to do that through most gates. Again, turning early through here. So this is one where I really want to make this tight. This is actually a very difficult turn on the track. As we were doing it on race day, a lot of guys were kind of going up, over it, and around doing a right turn. I just didn't feel like that was a very, efficient line. That's much further. That's adding more time on your laps. I want to take a nice tight left turn and keep it as close to that inside pole as I can. So you can see just again, I am turning extremely early. So you can see it off in the distance. I'm now turning left, trying to keep it tight around that turn. I think that if you show most pilots this shot and you say, turn left now to make it through that gate, it would seem kind of nuts. But again, that's the way the lines work in drone racing. You need to turn really early to keep a tight line through a course. And look, I'm basically full stick left, deflecting left roll as I come through. I keep it relatively tight, not as tight as I'd ideally like to, but still, not too bad of a turn. Coming up to this double ladder, again, I'm turning right. That gate is very far away, but I'm already turning right to go through that gate. I'm on the wrong side of it from where I want to come through, but yet turning right, it lines up. Again, want to make sure I don't slide too far, give me a throttle to gain control back, and try to keep this nice and tight. So I want to take this on the inside. So you can see I'm on the inside of it. Want to watch out for those guy wires, that thing from the global qualifier, and just keep it nice and tight, go through the inside leg again. And again, I'm already turning left for that flag that we see right there. So you're almost always thinking one obstacle ahead. That's about the time you need to be turning for the next obstacle. Just, again, really, really early. And yeah, that's basically one lap. But you can see again, as I get to the next lap, as I go through that gate again, I'm back to 100% on the throttle. Just trying to keep that speed up, speed on the course. But most importantly, honestly, is just keeping those nice tight lines. And I find this kind of like stick overlay kind of helpful. But again, I only find it really helpful if I time it up with going slowly through each frame of what I'm doing. Really trying to analyze when I'm turning, what's working well, what I should do differently to lower my lap times even more the next time I'm on the track. So anyway, the other thing I want to show you is I have another stick overlay. I'm going to go through that at full speed. The key thing of why I wanted to do a stick overlay on the second quad is I started flying the other quad and I noticed I felt like I needed more throttle to get around the course. My lap times were not quite as good with the second quad, but they were relatively close. So I just wanted to share that as kind of like a comparison of, we saw what it looked like with my primary race quad. Let's go ahead and try it with my other quad. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. So guys, hopefully this was helpful. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you like this format? Did this provide what you're looking for? I'd love to hear from you. And as always, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
But sometimes I might be a bit selfish. When you wait too long, might be overzealous, getting you in trouble. 'Cause I'm a little bit unsteady, even a little bit or just the best you've ever had,
114.6.
or just the best you've ever had. 'Cause I'm a
114.2.
little bit unsteady, even a little bit mad. Might be a disaster. When I'm with you, I feel different, like I'm
Or
brand
114
new.
flat.
Just ignore it. Still it feels just like I'm waiting for something better.
38.4.
Wait a second, I
Or
wanna
115.8.
stay up late with my heart in your hand. Maybe stay too much 'cause you don't understand. You got me gone. You don't understand. You got me gone. But sometimes I might be a bit selfish.